Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. In our second of the week, we welcome our other two correspondents whose teams double in game week 27, and they don't like each other. Well, maybe they do, but they don't like each other's teams. Let me introduce you first to our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent, Sam Murray. How are you, Sam?
I'm very good. Thank you, James. Thanks for having me on. Hope everyone's all right.
Very welcome, mate. We know you're all right. You get to watch your team every week. The rest of us are just jealous, mate. And our Crystal Palace correspondent, Migtavius, is in. How are you, Mig?
Hello, guys. I'm doing all right. Thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, very good. Mig, should we get the for the benefit of those on YouTube and for the benefit of the audio listeners? Neither me or Sam has seen what Mig's get up is this week. So, Mig, do you want to reveal yourself? It's part of tradition now.
I wanted to be a little bit understated, as Palace haven't really been doing
I'm so
much.
worried one of these you're going to turn up with no clothes on, mate. I swear.
Like, no one needs to see that. You need viewers for that.
Go on then, turn your camera on. What have you done today?
Boom.
Oh wow, that's
I wanted to go a little bit understated. I'm not really feeling the team at the moment, so
that's very red and blue. Yeah, that's a very recent home kit. There's a scarf on, there's a hat, there's shades.
It's my little ultra sort of look.
There's Palace stuff in the background, said South London and proud. And Sam, nice to see you dress up on occasion by putting your Tottenham shirt on, by the looks of it. Sam's just walked up in his white t-shirt.
He's just got home from PE.
Nick, thanks as ever for the effort, mate. Love it. Right, I would love to start with the rivalry, but I'm going to be selfish about this. Sam, fuck's going on with Sanchez, mate?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect it. I don't think any Brighton fans expected what happened at the weekend. It's just a typical week where everyone wildcards and something like that happens. I mean, Sanchez started the season really well, like usual. Recently, after the World Cup, his form has dipped a bit. He's not been at his best and he's made a few errors. Obviously, the biggest one at Selhurst Park, of course.
Obviously.
What
happened there?
I think with Sanchez, his confidence and his arrogance sometimes is what makes him the player he is. He always looks calm, even when sometimes I'm not, when he's got the ball at his feet. But playing out from the back, he's got that calmness, he's got that confidence. But I think maybe he was playing like someone who thought he had no competition. And De Zerbi likes to do this. He said before that he wants a competitive squad with players who all believe they can work their way into the team. So the decision still really did surprise me. I mean, especially at this stage of the season, we're getting towards the end now. It's a big call to make. Steele has been solid when called upon in the cups. He's done well, and he was good against West Ham. He didn't have too much to do, but he made a really important save at 1-0, and he looked calm of his distribution. I think it's difficult to look too long term. You can't say either of them are nailed now. It's Steele's position to lose right now. De Zerbi likes him. He said he's closer to his style, but longer term we can't really be sure. But obviously it's not great for people who bought in Sanchez recently. But it's something that you couldn't have predicted, I don't think.
Okay, it's Leeds first for you. Next question, follow up for yourself is: who do you want in goal versus Leeds on Saturday? You personally.
I think I would say Steele. I think he seems, in his interview after the game, I like him. He's been professional. He's been here for a few years now, and he's been back up to a few goalkeepers, and he's always, he's never complained. He's been pretty happy to be second choice, and he's done well in the cups. And after that game against West Ham, I think he deserves the chance. And it's pretty crazy, really, when we signed him from Sunderland, I think it was Middlesbrough, one of them northern teams, and his confidence was
Sam. Nearly everyone's north to you, mate.
I think it was Sunderland. His confidence was just shot, and they were all laughing at him. But now De Zerbi's got him playing out from the back like Ederson. He looks so calm on the ball, and he made some good saves.
That comparison is absolutely going to come back and bite you, mate.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, still against Leeds.
So will you personally be disappointed if Sanchez is back in the team at the weekend? Or are you just at a not fussed stage with it?
I don't mind, to be honest. Sanchez is, he has been good for us as well. It would be weird to bring Steele back in, Sanchez back in, but it could have just been a wake up call for Sanchez, and now he's got a bit of competition. He might up his game a bit. So yeah, I don't really mind either way, which is interesting. One in goal is usually one way you lean towards, but yeah, I'd be happy with Steele for now.
Now, spoiler for the list, I asked the guys before we started if they'd wildcarded this week just gone, and both said no. So I'm going to presume I'm the only idiot sitting on this podcast who's currently got Sanchez. Mig, I presume you do not have Robert Sanchez in your squad. Would that be fair?
That would be a fair assumption.
And I'm going to assume, Sam, that you don't have him either.
Nope.
All right. Help me out. What shall I do here? I can't shake the nagging doubt that this was just a one game thing and Sanchez might be back in on Saturday. I can't shake that.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as straightforward as just swapping him out for Steele. I don't think. I mean, you might get away with it for the double game week, but a few mistakes from Steele and Sanchez is straight back in. So yeah, it's not as easy as that. I'm not sure where you go from Sanchez. There's a few options. With the doubles, but yeah, I don't think it's as easy as the switch to Steele.
Go on, Mick.
I was just going to say, do you think it's like something like a disciplinary thing, like when Ten Hag dropped Rashford to the bench, like just something that just hasn't come up in the media?
No, I'm not sure. It could be, yeah, it could be. I think it's just, yeah, maybe it could be some sort of attitude thing that kind of ties in with the sort of thinking he's got the position, and no matter what he does, he's number one. So it happens to outfielders. If there's a centre mid or a striker not performing, they get dropped. So it's just the same with a goalkeeper here with De Zerbi. He's made his point here, and yeah, it gives the whole squad, I think, a bit of a wake up call, an idea that if you're not performing, he will drop you, even if you're a player like Sanchez.
That's a really interesting point you raise, actually, Big, about Rashford, who was dropped, although he came on and scored the winner for a game at Wolves, because I think he was late for a team meeting, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And actually, we only knew factually what happened was because Marcus Rashford was interviewed after the game and told everybody. So it could be something like that, couldn't it? Where it's a disciplinary and he's just gone, no, Steele's playing this week. And because with respect, you're Brighton rather than Manchester United, it's a lot easier to keep it in-house. Could that be it?
Yeah, that's definitely something like that could have happened. And yeah, I doubt you would hear it would get leaked. If De Zerbi wanted everyone to know about it, he would say it. And it could be something that could be just covered up within the team, within the squad. So yeah, we don't really know too much about it, which just makes the task of trying to predict who is going to stay in goal for the next 2 or 3 weeks a bit more difficult.
I don't want to sell him if he's back in, but if he isn't, then I do. And I'm sure a lot of people will be in that boat. We should clarify at this stage, we are pre-recording on Tuesday night. Sam, I've seen a lot of people saying, I'm just going to buy Steele.
Yeah.
Sam's grimace, for the benefit of the audio listeners, was not good.
It depends, because I think people who would have wildcarded, they would have had 2 playing goalkeepers. It's not like you're relying on Steele to play every week. But then obviously you've got the bench boost, so you want Steele to be playing. I think short term, it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, we'll have a much clearer idea, I think, after this Leeds game. But short term, it could be okay. But yeah, it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as going straight to Steele, I think. But De Zerbi does like him, and he said he's closer to his style. But yeah, it's difficult to call.
What do you think you'd do if you own Sanchez?
I think I would, if I could get away with just benching him this week and playing whoever I've got as my second choice keeper, just to get that little bit more information. And if I needed to get another goalkeeper in for the bench boost, then it would be someone like David Raya or any of those keepers at double. Maybe it sounds crazy after conceding 7, but De Gea, someone like that.
Yeah, fair. I think that's what's the problem is people know if they move to Steele, a lot of people doing that are going, oh, that's the cheap goalie for my bench boost now. If people are aiming for that in even this week or 29, I mean, there's definitely managers who'll be listening who have gone Raya and Sanchez and gone, I'm doing it now. And so, like, that's a rough call, isn't
it? Yeah. I think if I had to pick, I do think Steele is more likely to start against Leeds. But then again, I was 99% sure Sanchez would start against West Ham. So yeah, it's difficult.
Mig, if someone was a Sanchez owner and they were intending to bench boost this week and decided they couldn't make the call between Sanchez and Steele and decided they were going to go for Gator or Bazunu to bench boost now, would you back your boy?
I mean, I let's just say he hasn't got the strongest
some endorsement there, Mick.
I mean, that's a long pause. I didn't glitch out there. That was a long pause. I mean, the fixtures aren't. You're looking for save points if you're getting Guaita in this week, because I mean, City and Brighton, he's going to be busy over the week. So obviously, if he keeps one of the clean sheets, he's going to get big bonus points, you would imagine. So I probably would, thinking that both us and Southampton are going to concede goals. So probably hoping for Guaita to get a bunch of saves and get into the bonus points. So yeah,
I mean, it could be that. It could be 2 threes and it makes a 6, and that'll do great if that's what people have got in their plans, for example. I mean, it's worth saying Bazunu's double is also rough. It's United away and Brentford at home. You'd argue Southampton have got one fixture in there better than your 2, I think, Mig. But yeah, be attempted. The other thing with Gator, thinking about, if you're bench boosting now, presumably you don't want to piss about with that position going forward. He does cover 28. And obviously from 29, we've spoken about this loads. Your last 10 games for a running, mate. What a brilliant backup goalkeeper to have on the bench. Got a good fixture basically every week.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to, I wouldn't have him as your main keeper, but yeah, if he's cheap enough to be sitting there to throw in as and when you need him. Obviously, if you've got someone like a Sanchez who's going to be, you're going to be dithering over whether or not he's going to be in the team or not. At least you're assured that Guaita's going to be playing every week. So even if he comes in to help you out, be fine. But yeah, I mean,
I think if I was in that position, I'd definitely notice people bench boosting this week. I think I would go Gator rather than Raya. What's interesting about it as well is Raya comes into a rough run of fixtures himself after the double, and then yours get good. So then people have got to ask themselves, do they want Gator in goal for the last 10 games of the season? Would you be comfortable with that, Mig?
In my team, yeah, why not? But I don't care about my team. No, I don't. As a main goalkeeper, I don't think I'd be, because we tend to have good runs of games, but we don't do super well in them. So although we've got a bunch of green fixtures, we're going to be conceding goals in there unless he shores up the defence and we don't score against ourselves. But yeah, as a backup goalkeeper, I'd be fine with having him in there to throw in every now and then.
Any Palace players in your squad at the moment, Mig?
Nope.
So it's double game week. What's the plan for you? Doing anything? Is Wilf coming in now that he's fit?
With the midfield I currently got, I don't really. To be fair, I haven't really got a plan to bring in a midfielder unless I get rid of Haaland, because I've basically got Saka, Martinelli, Salah, and Rashford, and then I got Andreas. So just
to clarify, is that no Brighton as well?
I haven't got a Brighton midfielder. I got a stupid Nan at the back.
What? Sorry,
a stupid Nan.
Stupid Nan.
I don't know what she's doing there. But...
I literally didn't get that at all, but thank you. Carry on.
No worries. Just clarify.
We're definitely going to steal that.
So I got her at the back, and then that's my only Brighton player. I mean,
so you're not just completely anti-Brighton then?
Oh no, not completely. I love Nan. Okay.
But Wilf not on the agenda for you then? I'd have thought you'd go in captaincy the lot, Mig, because I know you're a bit of a rebel about that.
I may, but I mean, I haven't got much money in Saka, so I could drop him for a week, but it may, I may do, who knows? I could throw him in, put a captaincy on him, might get Tony in, put a captaincy on him. I was thinking about Mitoma, but that'd be 2 Brighton players. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, most of us want 3, mate. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast that for those who are intending to wildcard in 29, I think Zaha is a really interesting punt, actually, because how many times do we say it, Mig, that quite often with him, these fixtures are better for him. He'll get space.
Yeah. He loves playing against Brighton. City, he's done well in Manchester in general, except when he played for them. Obviously not United, not City. Don't get me wrong with that. But so he loves a bit of space. Obviously, they're gonna get doubled up on him, and he's probably going to get kicked from here to Timbuktu against Brighton. But he gets kicked most games. I'd hope. But the only problem is, with it being a double game week, he's only been back for one game. Do they rush him back? He's obviously going to play against City, and is it going to be too many games in a very short time?
There's no chance.
He's going to start.
He doesn't play. No chance.
Is he going to last the whole 90 minutes? Is my main thing.
No, I hear you. I think they'll. I mean, did he end up playing the whole game at Villa? And that was despite you going down to 10 men, right?
Mm.
So, I mean, that's got to have been good for his fitness. Now that it's a week break to be before City. In this 4-day, you've got 4-day gaps between the games as well. So it's City Saturday, Brighton Wednesday, and then Arsenal on the Sunday in 28. And then obviously it's international break. I don't know if he would go and play for Ivory Coast or not. But yeah, I wouldn't. He's certainly got returns against Arsenal in the past as well. Sam, is he a player just generally? I don't mean from an FPL perspective. Does he worry you?
Zaha, yeah. It just always feels inevitable. He's gonna get a goal against us. I feel like, genuinely, when I see him play outside of the Brighton games, I'm never really too blown away by Zaha. But it feels like when he plays against us, he's always just so up for it, and he usually scores. And so I'm expecting Palace to score at least one against us.
That's another reason to sell bloody Sanchez, isn't it?
The whole discussion means nothing because he's not getting a clean sheet anyway.
But Sam, which Brighton midfielders are in your squad at the moment?
Well, I transferred in Mitoma last week, and that was the only one I had. I'm not sure. I'm undecided on the wild card this week. I probably will, but I'm still not sure. And in that case, you're probably picking 2 of the midfielders. Which 2? I don't know. But it's just one of those. It's one of those situations where it's similar to the Arsenal midfielders. It feels like there's going to be weeks where if you're going for 1 or 2 of the midfielders, there's going to be weeks where you're missing points, and the other 2 haul. I think March this week was the one where he actually looked really good and blanked, whereas McAllister and Mitoma got the returns. So it's going to be difficult. I think I'm going to pick 2 and stick to it. I don't know which 2 yet, though.
Well, that's what everyone wants to know, Sam.
I know everyone wants to know.
I'll pick 2 of them. I'm going to tell you who, yeah.
I don't know. Mitoma will be in there. I love Mitoma. He is the most exciting player I've seen for Brighton. He is so much fun. I can't not own him. I think he passes the eye test and more. I think with players like Mitoma, sometimes he's a pacey dribbler, and you think sometimes he hasn't got much else to his game, but he does. He's a hard worker. He's a great finisher. He's a match winner. Mitoma will be in there. A bit quieter before West Ham. A couple of games before that, he was a bit quieter. I think he got targeted, especially against Fulham. They basically played 2 right backs. If you look at the heat maps from that, Harry Wilson was basically playing right back as well as Tete, I think it was. So he didn't get much in that game. It went all to Solly March. But I think Mitoma will be in there. March versus McAllister. Probably. I'm leaning toward McAllister. If I had to make a decision now, I'd go for McAllister.
He's got the pens, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think he's always got that risk of dropping back a little bit deeper. We don't have behind him in centre mid. We've got Caicedo and Gross. Apart from that, we don't really have many players that can play in that position. So there's always a risk, especially as the fixtures pile up a bit of rotation. He might drop back if Gross is needed at right back, something like that. But I think for short term, his stats are just so good. He's always involved. He's got the penalties. And we talk about all this playing more advanced at 10 and stuff. His 2 attacking returns at the weekend were a penalty and a flick on from a corner. So it just anything can happen. Any of them can haul at any time. But I think if I pick 2 of them, surely I'll be getting some points. If we score, they'll be involved.
I went McAllister. That was based on what I'd seen on the eye from the previous game with Palace and the game against Fulham, which might have been influenced by what you're saying in terms of the influence of cancelling out Mitoma. And I wonder, actually, Mig, if you might try and do similar to Mitoma, because in your bigger games, Jordan Ayew tends to play on the right, and he's very good in terms of the defensive work he puts in, isn't he?
It's very industrial, yeah.
It's what you always say about him. Yeah, I don't know, Sam, did you listen to our pod on Tuesday?
No, I haven't listened to it.
That's
yet,
okay.
no.
We forgive you, mate, and I know that you are a regular listener. But what I said on the pod was about Gross and De Zerbi's use of him occasionally at right back.
Yeah.
Is there anything in my theory that tends to happen in more high-profile games?
Yeah, I think that seems to be what has happened more often, which is strange, because you'd think you'd want someone maybe like a Veltman at right back, but Gross has played at right back against some tough opponents. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's difficult to know when he'll be playing at right back. I think Lamptey might be out at the weekend. I would expect Veltman to play at right back and Gross and Caicedo to be behind McAllister. I'm not expecting too many changes in the short term. And if McAllister was playing in that 10 role week in, week out, for sure, he would be my number one choice. No questions. Wow. Yeah, he would. His stats are brilliant. But yeah, I think if I'm holding these midfielders through, we've got loads of double game weeks to go. If I'm holding them all the way through, I don't want to be switching out. I don't want to be switching to McAllister for a March in a few weeks' time. I'm going to pick 2 and stick to it. So yeah, it's quite a big decision. I want him to make sure he's playing in that number 10 role often.
Let me give you a hypothetical -4 then, Sam. Sanchez to Raya, Odegaard to Mitoma. Yeah, I don't mind that. It depends on so many things, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't mind that at all. All right. Could you log in for me and press the buttons for me? It'd be very, very appreciated. That may well be what I'm doing, subject to that Sanchez news. Mig, not only Zaha back at the weekend, but Eze as well. Is there a link? Because Eze seems to have missed the majority of these games while Zaha's back, and we thought that obviously with Wilf out, he'd be the hub of the team. Not seen. Now Zaha's back. Eze's back in the team as well. Is there anything in that? It seems strange.
It does feel, because you thought, like you said, you would have hoped that Eze would have sort of stepped into Zaha's shoes, as a word, for the rest of while he was off. But I mean, they link up quite well. They obviously go around each other and draw defenders away from each other. So the link up plays well there. Obviously, he's tended to have Ayew on the right hand side, and then more recently he's shifted Allister over there, which is done well for deliveries. Yeah, I mean they're good. They seem like good friends. So, but I don't really
can't play without the other, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything in the camp that would say, oh, if Zaha doesn't play, then Eze can't play, as it were.
Okay. You haven't won yet this calendar year. Now, admittedly, it's been a really tough fixture run, and there are a lot of draws in there. Is there any pressure on the manager at the moment from Palace fans?
I've seen some pressure. We haven't had a plane flying over the stadium yet, but I don't think he's unless fixtures start going really badly. I don't think he'll go at any point this season. Obviously, if the performances are there, for the most part, I mean, most of those draws were, you said, against bigger teams or leading against Brentford and conceding in the last couple of minutes. Obviously, a rallying draw, a well-deserved draw against Brighton with no help from the goalkeeper at all. So, but we're not losing that many games, but it's like I said last time, it's becoming very stagnant. We need to get a win to boost ourselves. We're only 5 points above the drop. If that starts getting a lot closer, then the pressure will mount on him to at least get some wins under our belts, especially when we get into the run of good fixtures. We start losing some of those, then because that's against teams around the bottom half of the table. That's going to be doubly painful if they start beating us as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, these next three, realistically, City, Brighton away and Arsenal away is probably 1 point, isn't it? And Sam knows where the point's coming because it always ends up 1-1 anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't get into that period from 29 onwards and start winning, then obviously it's very dangerous. But I think it will. Home games you've got left from 29, Leicester, Everton, West Ham, Bournemouth, Forest, you could barely ask for it to be any better than that for 5 home games to finish with. And that's why I'm kind of convinced you'll be all right.
Yeah, we tend to come good again towards the end of the season, especially when we have a chance of relegating a team. We love doing that. But yeah, if we could get...
You've got Forest in 38, Bournemouth in 36. Oh, Everton will be all right. They play you in 32.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. Bournemouth, watch out. Yeah, if we could get, as long as the performances are good for these next 3 games, and we could get, we get a few points. If we get 3 draws, or even, I mean, I'm not expecting much from Man City, especially because Haaland will no doubt turn up because he's been quiet the last couple of times. But if we can get some good results and then maybe get something against Arsenal, I mean, they looked like they just about salvaged a win on the weekend. So if we could get something against them and go into these fixtures with some confidence in the group, then we'll be fine. We just don't need to get stuffed, please.
No first half goal yet in 2023. That's a mad stat though, mate.
I know, right? I mean, I know I've heard of second half FC, but
that used to be my team, and now we don't turn up in the second half. We just keep it 0-0 in the first half and lose in the second half. Do you think because of this, Zaha will keep playing as a striker, basically, as he did at the weekend?
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, it's not like Mateta or Edouard has really stepped up to say, "Hey, play me as a centre forward." I mean, typically. Last time you asked me who I'll go for, and I said Edouard, and of course he's barely stepped on the pitch since. So maybe I shouldn't say that Zaha will be starting up front because then obviously he may. Yeah,
I think he will.
He probably will.
I think he will at the moment. Surely you've got to find a way to get Zaha, Eze, and Elise all in that team together, and make that happen on the regular. I think
Elise on the right, Zaha up front, Eze behind him. Someone on the left, probably like Schlupp. Even Edouard can play out on the left.
Decore is suspended for the game against Manchester City. He will be available for the Brighton game. How much of a problem is that for the City game?
That's probably the biggest problem that came out of the last game, having him suspended because he's basically the engine in midfield. He's been one of the best players this season. His tackles are in there and stuff like that. So not having him sort of helping out the defence, especially against the City midfield that's, can put anyone on and it's a world-class team, it's going to be tricky for the likes of Schlupp and MacArthur or Hughes or whoever he replaces him with. It's not going to be an easy afternoon for them. And
you have a better historical record than most, though, against Manchester City.
Oh, yeah.
You've had some half-decent results against them. It was 0-0 at Selhurst last year as well. I realise I've got a big Norwegian who's a bit of a difference, and he's got 3 from his 1 played against Palace so far. Do you own Erling Haaland at the moment, Mig?
I do.
Were you captaining him at the weekend?
No.
Were you captain?
I was actually thinking of selling him for Tony, and then I thought, he's playing Palace, so that would basically just lock in a hat-trick for him.
Like your style, mate. And if you do that, then you can afford to get some Palace players in as well. Sam, I'm going to guess there are no Palace players on your radar at the moment.
No, not right now. No. But it feels like asking for trouble, wild card and 3 Brighton players in, having no Palace, and then probably, whatever happens against them usually happens. It is asking for trouble, but no, I don't think I'm going to have any Palace players.
If you free hitted, do you think you'd have any?
Probably still not. I think the single fixtures are still quite good, aren't they? So it's quite difficult. You don't want to force too many in there. I'm just not sure, no.
Big, if you free hitted Palace this week, it would be a top three.
Zaha, then probably Elise, and probably Gay. Imagine.
Okay, so Gay over Anderson for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I presume that'll be lack of own goals or something like that.
I mean, I think they've probably got about one each or so by now, so probably evened it out. But
okay, Sam, if you were free hitting this week, which free Brighton?
He knows them. He's just not going to tell you.
Don't act like you wouldn't, because you definitely would go free, mate.
Yeah, yes. I would go Mitoma, McAllister, and Estupinan.
So that was the easy way of asking you if your stupid Nan was a better pick than your Dunk. And, we got the answer.
Yeah, I think it's Estupinan, especially on a free hit. I think for short term, we've got some big games coming up. He should be okay. He's more attacking than Estupinan. He's got a great link up with Mitoma down that left hand side. I think the only worry people have is he's not as nailed as Dunk. Dunk is as safe as you're going to get. He'll play every single game. But Estupinan, he's got a lot of games coming up, and people have looked at that international break as well. I think Ecuador travelling to Australia before that double game week. So there's always you're never going to be 100% sure.
We don't know if he's going to travel or not. Done. I presume this would be the same for Caicedo, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of McAllister and 29 when you play Brentford, and thinking he's going to have to play deeper, possibly, isn't he? If Caicedo was to go as well.
That's a very good point. Yeah. That's the thing. If either Caicedo or Gross have to miss out, or for any reason, that drops McAllister straight back into a deeper position. But I think that you've got that Brentford game, and it's such an important game. We want to be at full strength, and at left back especially, we've got no one else really out and out left back that can play there. Colwell's coming back, could play there. Gross can fill in there.
I was going to say, he'd just play Gross there, wouldn't he? Just
Gross,
shits and giggles, wouldn't he?
He would. Gross would probably be the one to go in there, but Estupinan has been so important for us recently. I think at the start of the season, he took a while to get going, definitely. But yeah, he's been really good recently. I think I'll go for him over Dunk.
I take it Gross is not an option here in comparison with the other three.
No, I wouldn't go for Gross. I love Gross. He is amazing. He's been here since we got promoted, and he's a legend. But no, I don't think ahead of the other three midfielders. No.
Okay. Joel Veltman's your highest scoring FPL defender. No one's talking about him. Yeah. He's on 74. Yeah. Estupinan 70, Dunk 68. And I know that's partly minutes related, where the other two have missed minutes. But no one's talking about him. Should they be? With this Lamptey injury as well, which we don't know how big or bad it is at this moment.
I just think Lamptey, I think even, like I said, even Gross at fullback is competition for Veltman. If we've got a few games coming up, playing twice in a week, I just don't think, you look at that back four and you got Dunk, Estupinan, and there's not too many other options there. Even the other centre back is Webster at the minute, but you've got Colwell coming back. I think there's enough uncertainty with Veltman and Webster to not go there and just play it safe, I think.
Okay. What can you tell Evan Ferguson owners? Because I guess a lot of them will be thinking, I want that guy to play twice up front for me when I bench boost, which I think particularly if it's 29 is obviously very difficult for you to call now. Do you think he starts again against Leeds? Is he first choice currently, let's say?
I think he is our best striker. I'm such a big fan of Ferguson. As soon as he's come in, for his age, he's so complete. He's got so much to offer. His awareness is great. He can link up plays. He's actually really good with his feet as well. I think he's a brilliant player, but he's still young. And we had this away at Leicester, I think it was. He hit a bit of form, Ferguson, and he still Deserby still started Welbeck, and he said after the game he doesn't want too much pressure on Ferguson. He is still young. He's and Welbeck is. We've just returned now, and obviously getting that goal at the weekend. Welbeck will be taking minutes away from Ferguson. I think will Ferguson start twice in a double? I don't know. I'd want him to. I want Ferguson to play as much as possible, but yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's certainly tough looking ahead to 29. There's too much unpredictability over the next month. Welbeck's fitness. Yeah. You got Undev there as well, who has on occasion been preferred. I want to say Undev started at Selhurst Park. Am I right in saying that, Sam?
Yeah. Started against Palace and Bournemouth, I think it was. Yeah.
So you've even got that as competition as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like he's the best enabling forward in the game. The problem is it nicks a Brighton spot.
Yeah.
He's basically where it's at, and I imagine, Sam, you still find that hard to believe.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously it's great to see us doing well, but there's definitely more questions about Brighton players on my Twitter. I do get a lot more questions, and I think it's difficult with Brighton as well, because I feel like even in however many seasons we've been in the Premier League, we've never really had a standout player in fantasy football. We've Gross at points, Trossard at points, but there's never been. Even now, you look at the team, and there's not a player you have to have. That will be in every single team. So yeah, it's difficult to know which way to go. But yeah, a lot of people will have 2-3 Brighton. So prepare to be disappointed.
Okay, noted. That's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that if you win your games in hand, you are fourth. Why is no one talking about this?
I don't know. I quite like it. I don't want anyone to know until we sneak up in game week 37, 38. It's a weird mix at the minute of people not wanting to get too excited, but at the same time, when we play like we did, we're playing every week. Play like we did against West Ham, and you look at the table and you laugh, and it's crazy where we are and where we can be. We really do have the potential to push on, but I can't get too excited right now.
Do you think you can do it?
I think,
I get, we've spoken about even qualifying for Europe in the past, like the hesitation of wanting to commit to it. But are you thinking this is on possibly, considering the performance of the others above you as well?
I think any sort of European football will just be unbelievable. I know I haven't seen us. Like my parents saw us struggling to stay in the Football League, but even me, I seen us around the pitch when we stayed up in League One on the last day. I thought we'd never get to the Premier League. To even think about playing in Europe is crazy. I would just take any sort of European football. But the players believe they can. I mean, Caicedo said the other week about how the target seems to be Champions League, which I think that's a bit too far. But top six, I look at the teams around us, and Newcastle, Fulham, Brentford. Careful. They're all similar levels to us. I think there's a chance we can finish above them. I think these next few games, especially Palace, if we beat Palace, then I will start to believe, because then something is happening. But
something unusual has happened.
Something, yeah. But I'm sure they'll try their best to ruin our European dreams. But yeah, you've got to start getting a little bit excited.
As I told you last time we spoke to you, I think you have every right to, mate. I'm beginning to think I want so many of your players and your manager at the moment. I'm wondering if I can just get Daniel Levy to put a bid in for your whole football club at the moment. Might be the easiest thing to do.
Chelsea don't get there first.
Would you could just very briefly, if De Zerbi did go in the summer, let's just say a superpower, Real Madrid or something, come and got him, and Potter had been sacked at Chelsea, would you have him back? Because we was asked this the other day, and I wasn't sure what to say.
I don't think I would. I think a lot of Brighton fans now are trying to rewrite history a little bit with Potter. They are, because we've kicked on so well, people are trying to dismiss Potter. He'd done so much for us. The foundations are there. Obviously, De Zerbi has put us into a different class, but I don't think I could. I don't think I could take Potter back. I'm not sure. It depends what the other options would be.
I don't think that I can speak to you about Roberto De Zerbi anymore, and I just need to shut my mouth. It's where I'm at with it, mate. I think I do a little bit as well, but don't win too many games, right? Right, we must talk about this rivalry before we finish, which I think partly because of Sanchez and FPL interest, we've managed to skip round. Sam, you alluded to the fact that you can't beat them, and you'll have heard me joke about it in the past, saying Brighton will never beat Palace again. Like, is there a hoodoo, or it's weird because it's so many games you've destroyed them and not won?
So many times. I seem to have watched the same football match every season at this point. It is crazy. I think. I mean, the worst one was during lockdown when they somehow won it in the 90th.
Benteke winner.
That was bad. But this time around,
I think they only had one shot, and you had about 40 and lost it.
Every single time we played them. Yeah, I don't know what happens. But I mean, this season we obviously done our usual, dominated the game, and we went 1-0 up. And I'm a pessimistic fan, but even then I thought, surely we don't throw this away. Robert Sanchez did literally throw it away, but yeah, I don't know what happens to us when we play Palace.
Big, have you got a hold over them? Do they play the occasion rather than the game, do you think?
Potentially. I mean, it may be that sort of thing where it's become a thing now that they haven't beaten us in 1,467 days. I think it will be by the time we kick off.
That, don't you?
He's not counting.
There's a whole Twitter page about it. It's like the last time. That's where I got the info from. But yeah, I think it's because obviously when they do beat us, because no doubt they will at some point, next season or so. It'll be a massive thing for them, and they'll celebrate like they've won a cup. But it's because it's become a thing. It's like it's a hoodoo over us. We need to beat these guys, especially the way they're performing and the way we're snatching the point here and there. I mean, it has been the other way around. Like when Morpay scored in the dying minutes at Selhurst last season. It's those sort of things. So it's always a close game, and it's one that we always want to win. But it's ones we've more than likely lately been sort of hanging on to in the games, which probably annoys them even more that we then snatch a goal, which is fantastic.
That's it, isn't it, Sam? It's not the fact that you've actually drawn with them that many times. It's some of these freak performances you've had, which the last one even included a goal getting disallowed for VAR lines giving the wrong player offside.
Oh, that was crazy. I didn't even realise that at the time as well. I got back on the train, saw the photo, and I just laughed. You got to laugh at that point, but yeah, it's become a thing for sure. We batter them every time, and I don't enjoy playing Palace at all. I before the game, it's always it's one I don't look forward to, and especially the last few weeks we've been playing. A few Palace fans pop up on my Twitter and say, "Oh, we're gonna get battered against Brighton. They're gonna score 4 or 5." No, it's not gonna happen. It will be close. It'll be the usual game. But
you don't enjoy it because the rivalry is so big now? Is it the game that you absolutely want to win the most?
Yeah, it's that. If we win, it means that bit more. But I just don't like. I don't like playing against Palace because I've been there and we've lost. Because of the rivalry, the build up, and then the build up's the fun. But then you get there and you've been there when we've lost, and it's not good fun. No, I don't enjoy these games really.
Mig, is it the big one for you?
Yeah, I think of the season is one of the first ones you look at. Obviously, you look at the games against the big teams and stuff, but that's the one that the fans want to win. Because everyone enjoys having the bragging rights after each game. We've had it before. We've had it, and then been on the receiving ends with Morpay scoring and Knockout scoring that worldie a few seasons ago. We've been on the receiving end, and no one likes that. We like to be on the winning side. So yeah, I think it's definitely the 2 games of the season that we want to win, especially if it hurts their season goals. Like I think one of the last ones was they could have gone top of the league if they had beaten us, and I think we got the draw, which stopped them from going top of the league for like a night. But just to have that to stop them from going top of the league for 24 hours was just, it felt like a win.
Is it taken over as the biggest game then from the other more traditional South London rivalries you've had with Millwall, Charlton, and Arsenal?
I think it is. I mean,
Cheers,
we have,
lads.
it's always there every time. I think probably, I mean, it seemed to, I mean, it obviously at its heyday in sort of like the 70s and the 80s, it was a very big game there. And then we kind of went into different leagues for quite a while, and we developed more rivalries with sort of Millwall and Charlton and stuff. And now since those guys have dropped off and Brighton have had this resurgence, it's become more prominent in recent years, especially now that we're sort of vying. Well, last season we were sort of vying for the same points in the league, and now they've kind of gone above us a little bit more. So it's then dragging them back down. But yeah, of the last sort of decade or so, it's been the big game, especially in high profile games like playoff semi-finals and stuff like that. So it's definitely the rivalry at the moment now, which we forget about Millwall, Joel, and no one cares about that.
No, Millwall even saying that no one cares about him. In fairness, Sam, I'm gonna phrase this very carefully. Is Palace your derby?
No, it is not a derby. It's not about location or a motorway. It's a rivalry, but it's the one team that sticks out for us.
What's your derby?
We don't really have anyone around us, really. I don't really think of any teams near us that bother me particularly.
Is that why it's Palace, essentially? Because you don't have that?
No. Well, no. I don't know. It's a historical rivalry. It's unique for sure. I think, like you said, it goes back to the 70s. I think if you wanted to, I think my parents and my grandparents probably better off on the podcast, explaining it. But when I was growing up, it's the first songs you learn about Palace, and it's always been the big game for us by far. And even in my lifetime, it's the rivalry has had many chapters. I mean, when you've got players like Lewis Dunk and Zaha who've been around for a while and definitely understand the rivalry here, and the playoff games, Glenn Murray who switched clubs, Gus Poyet. There's plenty that's happened in my lifetime, and it's the standout. It's a standout game. But I suppose also because there's no one around us that we care.
There isn't a derby, and I realised what I was doing when I was asking that question, because I've been told don't call it a derby. Basically,
they probably are one of the closest teams by distance as well. I think in the Premier League, we just don't really have many teams around us. But it's not based on location. It's the history. It's the always sort of being close to each other in the leagues, always battling, and
basically
Venables and Mullery.
Yeah, they hate each other because of you two hate each other because of a couple of Tottenham legends.
Yes, basically.
I suppose
it's basically where it's at. So that definitely gives me the right to call it what I like. But is it generally? I've slagged it off. I've taken the piss out of the rivalry and stuff, and I part do it because I know it bothers people. But does it annoy you, Mig, when people are motorway derby and stuff like that? Does it bother you?
I mean, it does especially when people go like, "Oh, it's the N23 derby," and that doesn't make any sense why two teams 40 miles away have a derby. But I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, well, the rivalry between Barcelona and Real Madrid is stupid. They're nowhere near each other," or Liverpool and Man United. I mean, they have rivalries that have stemmed from different reasons. Obviously, those guys have been competing over championships and stuff like that. We've been competing over championships, but well.
Oh no, Glenn Murray's the one, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say Bob.
Glenn Murray. Sorry,
we never delved that deep. But I mean, we've had occasions where we've been fighting over championships. Okay, it was like Division 1 championships, but it's big for our clubs, and it's stemmed from different reasons. You don't have to have a rivalry simply on geography. I mean, there's rivalries built out of anything, and this one just happened to be two Spurs players that both wanted a captaincy.
Yeah, played with each other in the Tottenham winning FA Cup team, actually. Sam, does it bother you? Or is it like, are you blasé to it now? It's like, oh, they're doing it again.
Yeah. I love. It's funny. I don't really mind too much. It bothers me a bit when Sky Sports do it. They're meant to be the professionals and they're calling it the M23 motorway derby and all that sort of stuff. But it's not that. But it doesn't bother me too much.
I feel like Sky has really egged it on, actually, in
Yeah.
the sense they've kept picking it on like Friday and Monday nights, which we know the police don't want, and stuff like that as well. Didn't pick the games this year, actually. Maybe because they got told everyone's sick of watching Brighton wallop Palace and failed to beat them. Like, we know it's 1-1 anyway. What would you therefore, Sam, what do you call it? Is there a name for the game?
No, there's no. I don't think there's a particular name for the game. No,
the cursed one.
Yeah, something like that.
It's just like the big one. I mean, it's the rivalry. You don't have to have a blockbuster name for a game. You just have to turn up and play it.
I think in fairness, I think most neutrals would like to call it something. Most other rivalries / derbies will have something. Even you mentioned Barca, Real Madrid, El Clasico, right? Most have something named after them. And I think because of the status of the two clubs now, people want to call it something.
Yeah.
And so they don't know. So they just do what we do and go, oh yeah, fucking motorway derby, right?
Yeah. Anything's better than,
we need a proper name for it.
Anything's better than the motorway derby or El Gatwico. Either of those.
El Gatwico, I've heard.
Clever, to be fair. That's quite clever.
Anything apart from that, that's okay.
Feel free to slide in Sam's DMs after this and say, yeah, but Sam, will Sanchez play? And do you think you'll win El Gatwico? Yeah, that will go down really well. Guys, really,
can I just say before we go, we are rivals, and it can get a bit ugly on the pitches and stuff like that. But there is also good stuff that happens between the two sides. There is a charity, the Robert Eaton Memorial Foundation, which was set up after a Brighton fan who lost his life in the 9/11 attacks, and they've been going for like 22 years, supplying sports equipment and kits to kids home and abroad. They're finishing up next year. They have a charity match between Palace and Brighton fans every season. This season's one hasn't been announced, but just to show that there is, although, we do want to beat each other, and, there can be police troubles outside the pitch and stuff, even in a rivalry, you can still come together and do good things and raise a lot of money. I think they've raised over £330,000 in the 22 years. So stuff like that. And also be nice to each other on Twitter. All right.
That's absolutely why I let you come on this podcast and dress however you want, mate. Very, very well said. Drop us a link, Mig, and we'll stick it in the bio for the pod if anyone wants to donate to your derby. Just joking. the rivalry, obviously. Let's do some predictions before we go. Mig, Man City, Saturday.
3-1 City.
Sam, your trip to Leeds?
I hate predicting us to win, but I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton.
And Sam, the Palace game?
1-1. Come on. I can predict the XG as well. It's going to be something ridiculous. But I said if we beat them, then something is happening. But
would you be happy with 4 points from these two games?
Yeah, I think I would. Actually. Yeah, I'm sick of seeing games in hand on the table and counting the points and trying to close the gap. And I'll be happy with 4. I think from these two. Yeah.
Let me be very clear. Keep winning, and these niceties will stop, mate. Mig, the Brighton game, predict it, mate.
Well, I was going to say 1-1, but just to be different, I'll go 2-1 Palace.
Love
Why
it.
Not?
Cojones.
I don't dress up like this. Just say stupid shit.
The irony is, you look like you could be at Gatwick at the moment, calling the planes in, mate.
I'm ready to go. Where's my...
Brilliant. Thank you both so much. Really enjoyed that. Sam, where can everyone follow you on the Bird app, mate?
I'm at FPL Seagull on Twitter.
Brilliant, mate. And Mig?
At Migtavius, Migtavius.
Good man. I'll be streaming with my Ask James live stream tomorrow. There will be an audio podcast afterwards. It's probably going to be live stream at 12. 2 more Clash of Correspondents for you next week as well. Likely to be Tuesday, Chelsea versus Everton with Gary Mantle and Sean Norton. And Miggs holding up your South London and Proud card. And next Thursday, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth with Lee Jackson and Neil Grover. So a couple more for you ahead of game week 28. And I think we're probably going to have to end this now before Sam shows something up, which is going to be 2 abuses to Mig and vice versa. But love you both, lads. Good luck. Cue music, please, man child.